All right, let's get right into it. I want you to imagine a city that was on the map, but it wasn't ruled by any country. A place so dangerous that taking one wrong turn in its pitch-black alleys could honestly be your last. This was a real place. It was called Kowloon Walled City, a lawless state hidden in plain sight, right in the middle of modern, glittering Hong Kong.
To really wrap your head around just how extreme this place was, think about Dharavi in Mumbai, Asia's largest slum. Kowloon Walled City, it was 7 times more densely populated. Yeah, 7 times. That's a level of human density it's almost impossible to even picture.
So, what does that actually look like? Well, it looks like 33,000 people crammed into just 6.5 acres. That's about the size of 2 football fields. This made it, officially, the most densely populated place on the entire planet. It was basically a vertical slum of unimaginable proportions. And the result of all that was this chaotic cluster of over 350 buildings, built without a single architect or blueprint. Seriously, they were just stacked one on top of the other, like a giant concrete beehive, so tangled and interconnected that you could literally cross the entire city just by running along the rooftops. And down below, in those narrow alleyways, sunlight was just a distant memory.
Now get this, in this city of 33,000 people, you want to guess how many public water taps there were? Just one, a single tap, for everyone. So this brings us to the big mystery, right? How on earth could a place so chaotic, so lawless, so completely outside of any government control just exist for decades? How could the world's most powerful nations be totally helpless to do anything about it? Well, that's what we're about to unpack.
See, the truth is, the city wasn't really lawless at all. Oh, it had rulers. It was the personal kingdom of one of the most feared criminal organizations on Earth, the Triads. And their laws, well, they weren't written in any books. They were enforced with fear, superstition, and a whole lot of violence.
To really understand their power, listen to this story about a young guy named Hong Peng. He's lying in a hospital, dying from multiple stab wounds. His father is begging him, "Son, just tell me who did this." But Hong Peng refused, right up to his very last breath. Why? Because he was a Triad member, and the gang's code of silence was stronger, even than death itself.
And that kind of loyalty, it was forged in this absolutely terrifying initiation ritual they called the Blood Oath. A recruit would have a sword held right to their neck. A drop of their blood would be mixed with animal blood, and they'd have to drink it, all while swearing 36 oaths that bound them to the gang for life. After that, there was no going back to a normal life, ever.
But brute force wasn't their only tool. The Triads were absolute masters of psychological manipulation. They would spread ghost stories, claiming that vengeful spirits would torture and kill anyone who betrayed the gang, and their entire family too. For the people living in Kowloon, the fear of ghosts was way more real than any fear of the Hong Kong police.
What the Triads created here was a textbook case of cult psychology. They built this whole belief system where fear and control just became tradition. The residents weren't just victims. Many of them became emotionally dependent on their oppressors, actually believing the Triads were showing them the right way. It was like this twisted, citywide version of Stockholm Syndrome.
So why didn't the British or Chinese governments just storm the place and shut it all down? Well, the answer's kinda wild. It lies in this bizarre historical accident that turned the entire city into a political black hole. So the story kicks off way back into 1842 when Britain takes control of Hong Kong Island. Then, in 1898, they lease all the surrounding territories for 99 years. But here's the thing. In that deal, one tiny little spot was left out, the Walled City, which used to be an old Chinese military fort. That single oversight created this bizarre geopolitical glitch in the system.
And this glitch created an impossible situation. You see, China technically had legal jurisdiction over it, but because the city was deep inside British territory, they had no physical way to get to it. Meanwhile, Britain had all the physical access they wanted, but they had zero legal power to actually govern it. The result? A complete and total power vacuum.
Now, this political paralysis is what let the Triads grow so powerful. But there's an even more shocking reason they were left alone for so long. It turns out the city's chaos wasn't just an accident. It was secretly a protected asset for Western intelligence agencies.
I mean, you really have to ask yourself, why would powerful nations like Britain and the US tolerate this den of crime and anarchy right on their doorstep? Why would they just let the Triads operate with total freedom?
The answer has a name:
Operation Yellowbird. This was a top-secret joint operation between the CIA and British intelligence, MI6. It stayed classified for decades. And guess who was right at the center of it all? The Triads.
It was basically a deal made in the shadows of the Cold War. The CIA and MI6 needed a way to smuggle political activists out of communist China. And the Triads? Well, they had the networks to make it happen. The smuggling routes, the speedboats, the fake passports. In exchange for helping extract over 400 people, the Triads got money, protection, and a guarantee that no one would mess with their rule in Cologne. The city's chaos wasn't a problem for the West. It was a useful asset.
But then, the Cold War ended, and all of a sudden, this useful chaos became a massive liability. The city's time was up, and its powerful protectors decided it didn't just have to disappear from the map, it had to disappear from history itself.
As Britain was getting ready to hand Hong Kong back to China, neither side wanted this embarrassing, lawless stain on their record. The walled city had outlived its secret purpose. It was no longer an asset. It was just a problem that needed to be erased as quickly and as quietly as possible.
And they were definitely willing to pay to make it happen. The government announced a massive compensation package, 2.76 billion Hong Kong dollars. That's over 350 million US dollars at the time. It was an offer that was basically designed to convince all 33,000 residents to just pack up and leave without a fight. And for the most part, it worked.
What happened next was a systematic campaign of erasure. In 1993, every single one of those 350 buildings was demolished. Media and photographers who tried to document the city's final days were threatened. No artifacts were saved for any museums. And if you go digging in the official British archives today, you'll find almost no record of the city ever existing at all.
It was a deliberate, coordinated effort to scrub this inconvenient truth from the official narrative. As one academic put it, it was as if, officially, this city was never even there. It just vanished.
You know, in the end, the story of Kuluan Walled City isn't really just about crime or population density. It's a mirror that reflected the secret, hidden dealings of powerful nations, and a mirror they chose to deliberately shatter. And it leaves us with a really critical question. Who gets to decide which parts of our history are remembered and which parts get buried forever?